Hi, the topic today is what are the steps are we taking to defeat the coronavirus? What are the steps are we taking to defeat the COVID-19? So because like what I said yesterday, is a battle. Unless you name something, you cannot act on it. Unless you name something, you cannot control it. Unless you name something, it won't go into your subconscious. So that's why I'm saying today that this is a battle, this is war. We are fighting the invisible war. That invisible war is corona. So it's important because as we are speaking, we haven't got the vaccine. So because we haven't got the vaccine doesn't mean that we have to allow people to die. There are strategic things, there are steps to take to reduce the transmission. Like every other scientific evidence or objective, the main objective is to reduce the transmission. And until we reduce the transmission, there is no other way. Because like the normal system the world has been using of pandemic. So, and that is what we are using, and that's why the government is reinforcing this very social distance, giving yourself 1 meter from your workplace, your hospital, everywhere, and also people are exercising this quarantine, separating themselves from other people, because that's the only way to stop transmission of virus, especially this COVID-19. So the question is, what are you doing? What are the practical steps are you taking? I know prayers are important, but prayers alone do not solve it. Just like faith without work do not is dead. So prayers without physical work is also not working. So we expect each and every one of you to exercise, to engage in the practical steps to combat this coronavirus. Because without that, it's keep on spreading. As I'm speaking today, we have got about 1,700 heading to 2,000 in UK at the moment. The same thing, 10,000 in Italy. Then the same thing with Spain, and America is heading that in that trajectory. So it's very, very important. We have a lot to learn from this coronavirus. See, there is no way God will allow something and defeat it. That is the principle I'm operating. That's the I believe people who share the same value, who believe who have shared the same value and exercise. So these values are very, very important because one, God will not allow us, allow any temptation that is better than us to come around. And because He doesn't allow it, there must be something we must learn from this very coronavirus. Because for me, it is a kind of brokenness. This brokenness, see, if you have something, let's, for instance, you have a box, for you to tap into what is in it, for you to tap into the potentials, for you to get something out of it, then you have to break it. So we are being broken now, but at the same time, we'll be healed. Like a surgeon. A surgeon will cut somebody and at the same time heal the person. So the problem is not the broken. The problem is, are we able to take advantage of the coronavirus pandemic? Are we ready? So I have my friend, Prince Eze Iheanacho. I'll be welcoming him to this discussion, to this debate. So he shares similar view with me and other people. So we want to hear his opinion about the coronavirus. What are the steps necessary for us to take? Because the main objective, like I said, is to reduce the transmission. There is absolutely no vaccine for it. There is no cure for it. So for the practical steps are also necessary for us to get across it. So Eze Iheanacho, how are you? Are you here? Are you hearing me now? One moment. So keep on talking till we get Eze clearly on the station. So now the pitching is, hello, are you hearing me? So the meant, back to what I was saying, the topic, the brokenness is something we can learn from, because the brokenness is very, very important. Because the brokenness, hello, Ezra, are you there now? Hello?
Hello, hello, hello. I can hear you now, I think.
So the brokenness is.
Can you hear me?
The most important thing. You see, what are we deriving from? What are we getting from the incident? Because God will not allow it. There is nothing. So we
can you hear me? Though? Emmy, can you hear me?
Coming out of it.
Emmy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Yes, this is
Wonderful.
A great opportunity.
Wonderful. So, nice to have you.
So I'll repeat again. This is Eze Iheanacho, Prince Eze Iheanacho, the advocate of yes, the human advocate, the advocate for humanity. Yes, I can hear you.
Proceed. Proceed.
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So do you want me? What have you given the intro? Am I supposed to be speaking now?
One moment.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Now, like I said, the objective of this debate today is what are the practical steps we can take to reduce the transmission. That is the basic thing, because as we are speaking, we haven't got vaccine. But because we haven't got the vaccine, doesn't mean that we can't use the wisdom God has given to us. So in my understanding, I believe that there is a purpose for which God allowed this, because you see, He said He cannot give us a kind of temptation that is, He will not allow us to go through a temptation that's bigger than us. So whatever we have, whatever experience we are getting from this, whatever that's coming to us is evidence we are capable of solving it. Otherwise, God will not allow it. And the key thing Now, that's very, very important is this. We have to face the thing head on. We have to, take the practical steps to see how we can solve this problem, because we are capable of solving it, and that was why God allowed it. And we are not going to say, oh, who did this, who did that, but what are the practical steps? So as a Hannah is here to help us to, tap into this pandemic and see what we can get out of it. As a get on.
Thank you very much, Emeka Anyanwu. One of my major, I'll call you're a major advocate for anything and everything humanity and how we can unlock the innovation in everybody. I want to thank you for this great opportunity. My contribution when it comes to this pandemic, whatever you call it, we call it Covid19, and I'm told it's coronavirus. It's quite interesting, actually, that the name coronavirus had actually been mentioned many years before we had it. The thing is, I've gone away from all the theories surrounding it. All we know now is that it is real. And I'm happy that you have made it clear that God never allows anything that is beyond us to befall us. Impossible. And also, I do know that before there is any problem in life, the solution is somewhere. I happen to know this because I knew that the provisions for all of us were all put in place even before any of us arrived in this world. All our job, the job we have is to discover it, to find it. And once we are in the right place and at the right time with the right understanding, we find the solution. The problem I have is that there are too many experts right now. Everybody is an expert. That's one problem I'm having with this. Secondly, we are also relying on the so-called experts without knowing that there are people that God may choose to use to give us the answer to this problem. And those people are not within the brackets of what human beings have constructed as their experts. I don't know whether you can see where I'm going with this.
Yes, go ahead.
So why I am saying this is because I do know for certain that talents are given, and talents rest in many places that we are not looking. Cure to many problems we have are located, cures for many problems we have are located in areas and people that we never anticipated or have brought to the fore as the place to look at. This is why that is why I always try to ask questions about Africa and Africans. Because some of the solutions we are looking for in the world are actually embedded in Africa. And I'm not joking. Not only in the people of Africa, but also in areas in Africa. Because people have decided to fold their arms, you see, the will we have is our biggest gift, as well as our biggest liability, because this will is such that if you don't want to use it, it will allow you not to use it. If you want to use it, it will allow you to use it. But when you have folded your arms and you don't want to use it, then you are not only depriving yourself, you're depriving me and you're depriving humanity. I happen to feel that in as much as people are depending on laboratories to carry out the research and to find a solution, I happen to believe that there is somebody somewhere in Africa today that has solution to these things. They may have found it, but because they are not projected to the world for the world to know or know them as experts, nobody is willing to listen to them. Nobody wants to give them a chance. Nobody wants to even try what it is they are bringing. That's my biggest problem. Now, as an individual, personally, because I believe strongly in the spiritual as well as the physical, because that's the combination of what and who we are as human beings. There are practical things I do. Okay, that is in addition to what the so-called experts are saying. We've heard about washing of the hands regularly as much as you can, not touching your face if you can, and deliberately trying not to touch your face, social isolation, social distancing, let's call it. Yes, also isolating yourself to some degree, different modalities that we're hearing. For me, I happen to believe in this vitamin C thing, that people should try and take as much vitamin C as possible. And I also agree with the theory that putting as hot air or hot water, high temperature, okay, more than what you would have loved, in your nose, in your nostrils, I strongly believe that there is something about that. I believe it, and I am trying it. And I'm trying it, but not because I have symptoms. No, but I believe that prevention is always better than cure. So I feel that there are practical things we should be doing as human beings. But you know, beyond this, in terms of what steps we are taking to either to prevent or to provide cure to this ailment, for me, the most important information I would love to give out and I would love to share is on the issue of solution to this problem. I am mindful, even though people want to believe that certain things that are being flagged up are theories. Of course, they are all theories because nobody is 100% certain of where this came from, what reasons they are here for, or if it is man-induced, what is man trying to benefit from it. The thing I want to say to humanity, especially Africans, in terms of precaution, is that Africans must be very careful about whatever is called vaccine for this pandemic, whatever and wherever it's coming from. Africans, if you haven't carried out an independent research or experiment to prove that whatever it is you're being asked to take as vaccine or a preventative measure, whether it is mask or whether it is gloves, if you have not ascertained independently, okay, that thing is helpful to you, never touch it, never buy it, never accept it free of charge. Okay, because I do know that whether this is man-induced or not, there are people who are trying to play God on this earth.
Yes.
There are fellow visitors who came into this world the way you and I came in, that are primarily focused on depopulating the world.
Exactly.
One, some want to control humanity. That means you have come into a world you knew nothing about. You have come into a world through other people's accidental or deliberate activity, because that is how all of us came. We either came through deliberate or accidental activities of others. That is what brought us in, because nobody requested to come. Now, for somebody who came through this means to begin to want to be the one to depopulate humanity, that is a level of madness that human beings need to capture. But there are people in this mode. People are in this mode as individuals, as groups, as communities, as countries, as continents. People are in this mode. So I'm giving, as an advocate for humanity, I'm giving a clear warning to every human being, especially Africans. I'm being serious. Everybody must be mindful of what is being introduced as vaccine, or what is being introduced or as something to prevent or to immune you from this virus.
To reinforce what you just said about the precautions about Africans, we've had in the past where a vaccine that was meant for a particular cure was laced with another thing. So is that where you're coming from? Because we've
Absolutely.
had such experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is proven. It's not just we've heard. It is proven. A lot of the things that we are brought in as vaccine, we are used to control birth in Africa. We are used to put poison in people. We are used to, so a lot has happened in the past. You can't tell me that history does not repeat itself. History repeats itself.
Exactly.
And people need to become, the more aware you are, the more precautious you must be. Okay? Now, in fact, the speed at which we are hearing about vaccines, at which we are hearing about what people would have, the speed at which we're hearing that suggests that there is something people want to use this thing that is happening for. There is a bit of some deadly, sinister motives. And in fact, prior to that, we've had many people from some quarters, okay, talk about the population anyway. Bill Gates is one. Bill Gates is one. Is on tape. It's on record about how to depopulate the earth. Okay. Now, whenever a human being is suggesting that, you know there is madness going on, because you see, if only people understood what human beings stood for or who we are, nobody's going to. Because nature has a means of depopulating the earth. Nature takes care of these things. So for a human being who visited this earth to be talking about who should stay and who should go, that tells you there is real psychosis going on in a lot of people that project themselves as those we should be listening to. There is real illness going on.
Like John F. Kennedy stated it that it's every problem in this world is man-made. And
man triggered.
It's man-made, and then it will take man to solve it. That's what he stated. And I know that coronavirus clearly, most likely, is man-made. And whatever happens, even if it came from the animals, it was a human being that probably, made it to happen.
Contracted it, yes. Brought it into us, yes.
So, and those people probably had objective, and it might be to reduce the population, as you're just saying. So that's why whatever solution that is being proffered, we have to take it with a pinch of salt. That's what you're saying. Because previously humans have been, especially the Africans, they've been victim of this sometime in the past. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just exactly where I'm coming from. And this is time for people to wisen up. I wish every human being understood what we are here to do, because we are only here for a season and each person has got a reason for being here. And when you understand that, you cannot allow any particular individual, any particular community, any particular country, any particular continent to dictate or to impose. Because you need to, look, I keep flagging up the five-finger theory. I keep flagging, these five fingers are different for a reason. Each has a particular purpose. None should wait for the other to instruct it as to what that purpose is. Okay? Because people need to understand this and understand it clinically and transparently so that we can all be able to harness the uniqueness in each of us, because that is what nature wants us to do.
Yes.
In fact, this goes a long way to, I just want to also use this opportunity, because there is a lot of things people are doing, trying to project themselves as gods when they are not. I want to continue to tell people that no matter how good anything is, if we continue to stretch anything beyond their remits, we actually place ourselves in danger, no matter what that thing is. And the one primary thing I want to emphasize on is this artificial intelligence business. I want to keep warning humanity, okay? Yes, the artificial intelligence might be a source of help to humanity, but be mindful of moderation, because artificial intelligence in the end cannot become a customer, neither can it become a consumer. People need to watch those two words. Wow. Artificial intelligence cannot become a customer and it cannot become a consumer. I think artificial intelligence, I do know, because artificial intelligence is being driven by capitalism to the extreme. Capitalism to the extreme.
Yes.
People want to use services and not pay for it. People want to use services and not that. People
Now,
need to be careful. No.
yes.
You know, go. Okay, go on.
My question is this: like, yes, it has happened. It has happened.
Yes.
What can we? Because for me, I look at things beyond, because the question is, how do we look at this thing? Are we, you see, what can come out from it? You see, we want to see the everything. There is opportunity and there is benefit. Now, because we cannot be looking at the negative side of it all the time. Because if we keep on looking at the negative side of it, because then the purpose for which God allowed it will not come up. Because I believe that where there is a purpose for which God allowed it, and there is a benefit, because once somebody is broken, then the opportunity rears up. It is the opportunity that, like Benjamin the Israel says, opportunity is more powerful, more important than prophets and the conquerors. Now, is the opportunity is the main thing. Now, with the coronavirus, having broken people, now what are we learning from it? What are the benefits? You understand? Because one, this kind of thing, you see, they are meant to, you see, like you said, the human will is the most powerful thing in the universe. And nothing can break human wills. And if a human will, the human soul is fired up, then it is powerful and it brings out creativity and innovation. Yes. So now I believe that the future is bright beyond this coronavirus. Yes. Because now it has touched the soul of humanity. And once something touches the soul of humanity, it fires it up. And it fires it up in terms of innovation, creativity. This is the side we'll be looking at it, because there is a message God has for us. Because, let us not be looking at things like pagans. Yes. Who, when they face challenge, they think, it's the handwork of God, it's the handies, and then they don't tap into the opportunity. The opportunity there is, how are we, the opportunities there is the innovation, the creativity we can start, producing from our own home. Because the clear thing is, like I was telling my children today, I said, poverty is not because you lack. Poverty is not as a result of you lack something. Poverty is as a result of you are not self-producing. You see?
That's right.
You see, what makes people poor is not that they don't have money, or they don't have, what makes people poor is that they are not using their uniqueness.
Yes.
And now the coronavirus has, put us into a position of using our uniqueness. Like now, I've not done this kind of interview before, but coronavirus has inspired me to do it. Now it has touched me to use my ingenuity, to use my creativity, in a way that can benefit human being, in a way that can benefit humanity. So this is the area I'm practically interested in. So now they are asking everybody to self-isolate, stay in your own home, which for most of us is not good. But if you look at it in a different side, it is opportunity. It is now telling us, look, what can you do? Remember, when God instructed Moses to go to Egypt, he told Moses that make sure you use the wonders I've left in your hand. You see, he told him, make sure that you use the wonders I have left in your hand. Now, God is not telling Moses alone. He's telling me. Now,
All of us.
until we understand the concept, the coronavirus for me is like Egypt.
Mhm.
And God is telling you and I that we should make sure that we use the wonders He left in our hand. And these wonders He left in our hand comes in terms of creativity and innovation.
Mhm.
And now, if we don't use the wonders God has left in our hand, then how do you justify that God made us or created us wonderfully and powerfully? According to Psalm 139, He said that we are wonderfully made. And then Exodus is telling us, God is telling Moses, look, make sure you do the wonders in your hand. Now, the question is, it's no longer the coronavirus we're talking now, it's now, what are we doing with it? Do you see
Brilliant.
where the area I'm coming from?
I see where you're coming from, because every problem
Go ahead.
actually profiles solution. Yes, every problem profiles solution. And it is out of our challenges that we learn new skills. Challenges are opportunities. That's what they are in the end. So what you're saying is great, because you look at what the positive side of coronavirus, in spite of all that it is doing around the world. First of all, what it has done is to reduce certain things that became too important to us.
Exactly.
Reduce them. Okay. When the things that are important to us have been reduced, it is actually a signal that the things that we have been seeing as less important could be the important things of life. It is actually asking us to retake a look, or take another look at the things that we have ignored, because that could be where it is happening. So coronavirus has, first of all, reduced science, okay?
Yeah.
Because we became too dependent on it, thinking that it will provide quick solutions. Yeah, science might still provide answer, but science will be new, and it has to be a new thing.
Yes.
It's not what we knew, the way we had it. So it is asking us all now to become innovators,
Yes.
to think again as to what we can do. It is asking us to value the things we devalued. Many men today are staying at home for the first time because they
Yes.
never knew. In fact, some men, if I was listening to an interview by of Arteta, the manager of Arsenal. I happen to support Arsenal, so I listened to that interview where he's saying that for the first time, he's now catching up on his children. He never had time before. He was flying from one football match to another. So, and now he's learning a lot about his children, and his children are learning a lot about him. He's having to invest in his children right now in the way he never invested. So, and that means we are coming into new zone. And there is nothing as better as humbling human beings. We all need to be
Exactly.
humble. We need to be brought to the real sense of who we are. And I believe that that is powerful in itself, because when you are brought to the sense of who you are, then you can even make better use of yourself. Okay?
Yes.
Because if you're operating on a delusional level and thinking that you are achieving, no, you are deluded. But if you are brought to your normal senses, you can achieve more. So coronavirus is helping to bring us to our normal senses. For the first time, you're hearing people should stay in their own country. People should not now. Britain is not claiming Nigeria again at this moment. Okay? They don't
Yes.
want anybody flying in. Nigeria doesn't want anybody flying in from Britain. Suddenly, everybody is saying, stay in your own home. People suddenly are realizing what is their hope. That means wherever it is you're living, it's your hope. Nobody
Yes.
is now being psychotic about owning another person, owning another hope, owning another country. And what this thing is calling us for a thorough check. We need to be honest with ourselves and check ourselves and
Exactly.
begin to introduce our own solutions to problems. You see, suddenly, those who believe in foreign medical tourism are now being asked questions about what they have done with their own local health services. Suddenly, because look, there are lots of useful things being brought about by coronavirus, no matter how bad we might look at it. Okay? And the thing is, like you rightly said, it's now asking us to innovate. Okay,
Yes.
because everybody must proffer solution to survive. Yes, you can hear whatever you want to hear from experts. When you are in that isolation room, you have to do whatever it takes. You must help yourself. I mean, I was listening to a lady, I don't know whether you've received that video, who actually was feeling, she felt at the point of death because of coronavirus.
Yes.
And somebody now told her to try this hair dryer. Hair dryer, and also sprinkling water on her face, and to put this hot air from the hair dryer in her nose. I don't know whether you have seen that.
Yes.
Now, this is what the woman began to try, and as far as she was concerned, she began to heal. Now, you see, we wouldn't have had that, wouldn't have seen that in action. And and you need to see the video because it looked very honest. In fact, what she's asking us all to do now is to be doing that. We don't have to wait for the symptoms.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Good, because now let me touch a little bit of what you said. Because one, you talk of humility. You see, one of the good things the coronavirus has made, or has produced, is that it has humbled us. Because one, humility is very, very important.
Yes.
Because when we say humility, we are talking about it is now making us to be more introspective.
Yes.
Because once a person is introspective or start questioning or examining things, now he begin to find his own roots. And finding your own root means discovering yourself.
Yes.
Because the more we discover ourselves, the more we get solutions for this coronavirus.
Absolutely.
Because as far as I'm concerned, God has solved every problem.
Absolutely.
That's the principle I operate with. I know that God has solved every problem. Now it is left for us to follow God. And how do we follow God? Is by being introspective, by examining our life. Socrates said, unexamined life is not worth living. Now, coronavirus had, instead of, it's not separating us, telling you, go to your home, stay in your room, think. Because when you start thinking, then you start understanding your limits.
Yes.
Now, when you understand, because somebody told me now, there was a saying that the death itself brought fear. Is the fear the death is bringing is not that it will stop us from that. The fear alone will make us to be creative. Will make us to make use of the time. See, the fear sometimes is not bad. The fear will now make you to be more introspective. Will now humble you. Will now make you to go to the roots. Like I was saying.
Yes.
Yesterday I talked about the two warriors. These two warriors were Jesus Christ and David. I was using it to explain to people, people who are creative, people who are innovative, how best they can use these two scenarios to solve our problems.
Okay.
Now, I was telling him, look at David now, for instance. When David faced Goliath, now David was inexperienced in the military. He was inexperienced with the kind of military warfare, but he has his own ingenuity, his own creativity. Now, Saul was trying to give him the old system of fighting, the old strategy.
The old, that's right.
But he rejected it because the old strategy he knew wasn't going to work.
If it worked, David wouldn't have been required.
Of course. So now the old strategy the old strategy David Saul profiled was not the right one. Now David had to be introspective and produce his own personal gifts. He tapped into his
Yes.
own personal gifts, and
Yes.
through his own personal gifts, he was able to think about the sling.
Yes.
And immediately he got the sling, the idea of the sling, the equation changed. Now, the
Immediately.
equation that changed here, I was trying to highlight it to people. I was trying to let them know that the principle on which God operates, and that principle is very important both for the scientists, the artists, and every other person
Yeah.
in mankind.
Yes.
Now, the principle is this: God is always offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you watch, David understood the principle of God, and that was what he was trying to communicate to us. Immediately, he rushed against Goliath. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
wait.
Yes.
He was aggressive and rushed Goliath. So the same way God expected us to operate, to be proactive.
Yes.
Now the question is, what does rushing
Me.
to Goliath or rushing to solve your problem? How do I put it into the context so that ordinary person will understand it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am telling now, preparation is an offensive action.
Yes.
Now, if I'm preparing for something, I'm being offensive.
Yes. Yes.
If I'm drawing a plan, I'm being offensive.
Yes.
And that is what we call rush. Even though it's not moving the way people are saying, but once you start plotting, planning,
Mm-hmm.
and preparing, that is an offensive. Now, if you apply it to what we are doing today, now it is believed we should have prepared for this coronavirus,
Mm-hmm.
but it eluded us because we were not thinking in that direction. But I hope the future generation will begin now to be proactive and to be offensive, just like David.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am expecting the new generation that after this coronavirus, we have to start making more preparation. Even as the
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus is still in place, we are expected to stay in our house and start making preparation beyond this coronavirus and start
Absolutely.
making plan on how to be offensive, because
Absolutely.
the act of making plan and preparing is an act of offensive, and it is the principle of God. So
Absolutely.
because if we are praying, there is no, because preparation and plan are act of faith.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so the problem the world had, which the world has not learned, is making adequate preparation.
Sure.
We don't have to wait till something happens before we prepare.
Before we act.
You understand? So preparation is very, very important. Drawing a plan is very, very important, because according to God, the coronavirus will soon end, because God said everything is season. And
Yes.
there are two things that are constant: God and his own principle, God and his word. And his word is that
Yes.
the coronavirus is a season. That means is gonna elapse. So
Oh, sure.
when the
Sure.
coronavirus elapses or ends,
Mm-hmm.
where do we go from there?
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of us, I'm expecting some of us now that now we are in quarantine or in isolation, we should start making plans, should start making preparation for what we want to do, because obviously it's gonna end according to the
Sure.
word of God.
Yeah, sure. But I'm hoping that whatever preparations we are making, that such preparations has nothing in them geared towards killing our fellow human beings, depriving our fellow human beings, suppressing our fellow human being, annexing our fellow human beings, trying to subdue another human being, a community, country. I would hope that the lessons that will come out of this coronavirus is that we have understood that we are in no place to begin to dictate other people's lives. Rather, we are here to take care of ourselves and one another. I would hope that this coronavirus provides each and every one of us the opportunity of coming closer to our Creator, because it is only through His knowledge that we gain the real wisdom. I hope that the whole thing we are doing right now is reflective, because the human defenses have been lowered, have been shown to be weak and vulnerable. I would hope that this is a season by which we take personal accounts of what we are doing with ourselves and with other people on this earth. I am hoping and I'm believing that that message, that as we are humbling ourselves before our Creator, okay, that our Creator would now open up the avenue through which human beings can solve these problems, because the solutions have always been there. So it is my hope. In fact, I was going to ask you,
I will help you. I will help you in that.
I was going to ask you, how many stabbings have we had in London since this coronavirus? Because, you know, I'm of the view that the human virus was so much and so painful, more than what we are seeing from coronavirus. How many stabbings do you think we've recorded in London these few weeks?
It's from statistics of fronted, it has drastically reduced. One or two. I've never heard about it. I rarely hear about
there that. You go. There you go. How many bombings have we heard that people are bombing and bombing here, bombing there?
Nothing.
Now you see, because we really need a broadened out outlook on coronavirus, as bad as it may seem. Proceed.
You see, when I kind of strayed a little bit when we are talking of humility. You understand? The first principle way the coronavirus brought for me is this humility. It has humbled the scientists, it's humbled the capitalists, it has humbled every other person. Now it has baffled even the greatest scientists. They don't know the solution. Now, but the thing is this, and it has humbled political leaders.
That's right.
Especially
religious leaders too.
And religious leaders. Now, but the thing is this, I was saying that everybody, in fact, I am as strong as my weakest link. Yes. You understand? Yes. Now it has taught a lesson that look, even though you see yourself as the head of a government or the head of some, you are not free from it. Now, if people were wise enough, they would have, like I said, they would have prepared for this. A lot of countries would have prepared for this, because they were thinking that, look, it was coming for the poor people. You understand?
Yeah.
But now, even including Prince Charles, including Nigerian president, great people, a lot of people now are having it. Boris Johnson is having it. All the people, most of the Dominic Cummings, the special advisor, is having it. So it has humbled everybody. And it has told us, one thing has told us is, look, we need to take care of the vulnerable.
We need to take stock of what we are doing.
We should need to take stock of what we are doing. Especially, we have to look after the vulnerable. Because as I'm talking to you in London now, they stated that all the disabled, all the homeless people, the people who are sleeping rough, they've been taken away from the streets. Because if they get coronavirus, they're gonna spread it to even the most privileged. So the coronavirus one has brought humility in the mind of everybody, and now it has shown to us that, look, every human being is equal. Every life counts. Your attitude to the poor person affects your attitude to a rich person.
Right.
So we have a lot of lessons to learn from this coronavirus.
Absolutely. So, I'm pleased that you opened up this opportunity, because these are the sort of things that I believe that every human being ought to be listening to. Because even when it is bad, there is still huge lessons to learn. and we can't take only one perspective on things. The thing is, you and I, nobody is immune from it, and
Yes.
we are being called to re-examine our conscience, to re-examine ourselves, to understand how mortal we are, all of us,
Yes.
and we must take that lesson. You know what? And look, and I'm being very frank in my own honest opinion that I want a situation whereby if we are going to revert back to what we call the status quo, business as usual, without learning the lessons of this coronavirus, I rather coronavirus stays on until we've learned the lesson. And this is my view. I'm being very, very honest, because there is a lesson, and I don't care whether it is introduced by man or by nature or combination of the two. Okay, there is a lesson from coronavirus, because even if man induced it, I don't think whoever induced it knew the extent it was going to go or how it would be damaging to them. Because I tell you something, I hear, oh, it came from China. If it is China, let me be very frank with you, and let me put it on record, that China has then exposed themselves to the worst state, as far as I believe. If not anything, I myself, okay, haven't known what I know about China now and their food preparation and what they eat and what they do with food, you will not see me in any Chinese restaurant again. I'm being very honest.
Yes.
And this is me. So, and I believe that there are many people who are going to take the same view. Okay, so I can't see how that will benefit China. Okay, so what I'm saying is, even if man has introduced this for whatever reason, whoever introduced it is about to pay a price they never envisaged. Mark it
Exactly.
somewhere. And so whether or not man introduced it, coronavirus is here to awaken all our spirits, and we must open up our minds for it.
It
And
is.
the biggest thing it is asking us to do is to look up and identify our source, identify our maker.
Yes.
Okay?
It's,
It is asking us to do that we need to connect to the roots. And that root is God. Okay? We need to connect back, because we are operating like lost sheep. We thought we brought ourselves into this world. No, we did not. We did not bring ourselves to this world. We were byproducts of other people's consequences. Simple. We are byproducts of other people's activities, whether deliberate or accidental. And we need to own up to this fact, all
yes.
of
See,
us.
the thing is this, like we stated, we said earlier, the you see, the coronavirus is it has, kind of, revealed to us, especially people who don't know. You see that the life we're living is an illusion. You understand? So it's an illusion. You have it, but all of a sudden you don't have it.
Absolutely.
Now look at the figure.
Absolutely.
Look at the rates of
It could
the
be anybody.
toll on a human being. So
Yes.
it has really told us, look, we have to make use of the time we already have, because
Yes.
we are not going to be here. It has reduced everybody and told us, look, this place is not a permanent place.
Absolutely.
We believe
Absolutely.
it. But in as much
Absolutely.
as it's an illusion, we also have seen that we can pursue things with excellence.
Oh,
Because if
yes,
we
we can.
pursue things with one hand, we pursue it with excellence. The other hand, we know that it's an illusion. But then,
Yes.
you see, we have to balance both of them.
Yes, actually, Emmy, yeah, you're very
Perspective.
correct. But actually, Emmy, you see, we are brought here to perform excellently. Okay.
Yes.
So long as we follow what I call the general rule, there is a general golden rule there for humanity. And that rule is simply that you are not to use the gift God has given you, okay, to dehumanize others. You're not to use it to ill-treat anybody, okay? Once you can understand that and avoid that, the talent you are given, you can now focus on developing it and making it excellent for the service of humanity and the worship of God, the Creator. And by doing so, you will excel in whatever God has. In fact, science will then give us more. Okay, academia will give us more. Everything we are doing then will give us more, because we are channeling our given talents, our relative talents, and our unique talents to doing good, not using them to do bad because we have will to do so. Okay? So if we can all learn to observe the general human golden rules, okay, then we can use our respective talents to do excellent things, and humanity will flourish. It's as simple as that. Nature has its own way to take life, to depopulate itself. Nature has everything in store. It's not for human beings to do that. And it's important I re-emphasize that. Because for me, if you ask me as an advocate to humanity, as an advocate for humanity, to tell you what I would classify as what is happening, I will say to you, and I'll put it on record and say, human beings who are visitors to this world suddenly decided to depopulate in their own way, but nature took over and decided to do it the best way nature wants to do it. And by nature doing it, those who want to depopulate suddenly became afraid and suddenly want life. Now, the question is, how can a killer now want to live? How can a killer, how can he who wants to kill others suddenly begin to see the value in their own lives? For me, that is something I want humanity to consider as an advocate for humanity.
That's the irony of life, because sometimes we create something, and we create something, but then we didn't have the insight,
that
because
the thing can turn around and start chasing us. The thing can turn around and start chasing us.
Of course, because once there's something about John F. Kennedy said that if one person is held in one island, every human being is held back. So that is the principle. But I wish the world will understand it. That
that's why we keep saying never create a monster, because the monster.
If you create a monster, you yourself, I remember I was in hospital one day. I saw a policeman. The policeman chained somebody, a culprit, chained the hand and chained it to himself.
Is it handcuffed? Yeah.
Yes, he handcuffed. Yes, he handcuffed a culprit, and then he chained the culprit to himself. So both of them are paralyzed.
Both of them we are locked down.
They were locked down. So now, like I said, the hunter is being hunted.
That's right.
That's the way life is.
And then the hunter now is screaming for life.
So we cannot we cannot be we don't know. There's something John Lennon said. John Lennon said that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans, So you could be planning something, but other things are cropping up.
Yes.
So
yes, absolutely.
So as to bring us back to our perspective now, the practical steps we should be taking at this present time to free ourselves, to at least to stop the transmission is very, very important. Originally, we know in the Isaiah that God stated that when this kind of thing is happening, we should lock up ourselves and and stay like a quarantine. It's very, very important. You see, all the solutions, like I said to people, is all in the Word of God. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
So, but it depends on how we interpret it.
Isaiah 26 verse 20, for those who want to check it out.
Yes, it's a form of inspiring us, telling us, because already this kind of thing that happened has happened several times. This is not the first time. It's been happening like that for ages.
That's right.
So the steps, as far as we are concerned, there is no vaccine, but there is something we can do to help ourselves. That thing we can do immediately to help ourselves is to follow the government's guideline.
Yes,
the government guideline to this self-isolation, social distancing, and also be in control of ourselves.
Be in control of yourself. Try to make sure that you heat up the nostrils. Give it a heating, because we hear that from research that this virus hides itself up there because it's the coolest part of our body. So try periodically, you try and heat up the area and drink as much water as on intervals as possible. So all those practical steps, yes.
Yes, so all these practical steps are important so that at the same time we are not supposed to face the pandemic with fear.
Yeah,
even though we've declared war.
Very important.
We don't have to play, because fear destroys the critical faculty. It destroys our personality. It makes us very vulnerable. Yeah. Because once a person fears, the limbic, comes in. So people will no longer be rational. Like as we're seeing now, some people are still doing stockpiling and panic buying. You understand? These things, are done out of fear. And some people are killing themselves because they are trying to solve a temporary problem with permanent solution. So, this time because it's very, very important, we understand that this is seasonal. It's not going to last forever, because the word of God said is only a season. Is for a particular period.
Absolutely.
And word of God stands. So, and he has promised us his word stands forever. So, Prince Eze, what again do you want to tell us, people, our audience, in this particular discussion that is very, very important? Or you could summarize.
All I want to say as a summary is, first of all, to thank you for this great opportunity, because you might not know the extent of which you have actually disseminated important information to the general public. So I want to thank you, first of all. Secondly, to re-echo what you've just said right now. Yes, this pandemic is here. We need to, first of all, take all those guidelines and make use of them. But most importantly, remember that it is God's world, and remember to humble ourselves before God. Then ensure that the lessons that are coming through this virus, those lessons are not only understood, but implemented when this season is over. On that note, I say thank you very much for your time, Emeka Anyanwu.
Yes, thank you, Prince Eze Ihanacho, the advocate for humanity. You've done very brilliantly, and I hope the audience appreciate everything, and they must have learned a lot from you, and we look forward to having such a debate some other time. So thank you, everyone, for your courage, for your appreciation, and for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.